What is up, everybody? Bingo here, and I am here today with a nice commemorative video for myself. I wanted to document the Sky Striker deck profile that I played at the 2025 Worlds event. We did take first place. We got the prizing right here. It was a fantastic event. It was a lot of fun, and I just wanted to kind of take a moment to document this deck profile since, I don't really do videos very often anymore, but I did want to make sure that I had this mostly for myself in the future. It's always a fun time. So the tournament was 5 rounds, and we played all meta the entire time. So we played Yummy, Dracotail, Dracotail, Yummy, Dracotail, Yummy, Vanquish, Soul, K9. So we did go undefeated, and without further ado, I do want to get into the deck profile. So, all right, obviously we have the 3 Sky Striker Ace Ray. This is not really negotiable anymore with the desire to play a Sky Striker deck profile or deck versus, going second deck utilizing Sky Striker, like we saw for a while. And then we unfortunately are playing 2 rows until the next wave or the next main set. And that is because we are opting to play Pot of Desires. Anybody who's been following me for a long time with this deck, I've been playing it since Dark Saviors. I obviously step away from here and there to play other decks, but Pot of Desires right now, I think in order to maintain pace and consistency, because this deck does struggle a little bit with consistency, we need to opt to play that card for kind of what it provides. And unfortunately, despite how much I did not want to play 2 rows and I was just going to kind of send it, I decided last minute that 2, even though I don't want to, at worst case it is just a normal summon into Shizuku Pass type of play, but we do need that. So that's it for the monsters. Moving on to the spells, we did play obviously 3 Engage. There's nothing else to say. This card is awesome. This card is crazy. I'm very happy to have it at 3 again. And then I would say, honestly, debatably the best spell in the deck as of right now, Linkage. This card is crazy. It offers so much more than it did even when it first came out, and I thought it was already a powerhouse of a card with the addition of 0. So obviously nothing crazy to go there, but the next card is going to be 3 Widow Anchor. I've thought about playing less of this right now until the next set, but again, that thought passes pretty quickly. This card is just kind of the bread and butter grind game, the way to disrupt your opponent. Not only do you, if you set up with 3 spells, do you negate their effect, but you remove their body from the field, and it's not even like a destruction where it would go to the grave and it still is a pseudo resource. You take it from them, and it's so powerful when you get to go first and resolve Widow Anchor for 3. So the next card is going to be 3 Lemnis Gate, 2 Lemnis Gate. No matter what, this card is a 2 of. Anybody who says otherwise just does not have the sets and reps with this deck. You could get away with 1, you absolutely could, but I think the utility that this card provides for what it does is just, you cannot overstate how valuable the recursion is, as well as the bounce. Taking an extra deck guy from your opponent with Widow Anchor, and then bouncing something else they play, and then bouncing their extra deck guy from your field back to their extra deck by shuffling 6. It just offers so much. Alongside the link effect is extremely powerful as well. So this card offers so much to the strategy right now, and unfortunately, if you go first and you open 2, it's not the best, but that is the only scenario where this card is not great. If you do play 1 of this, you absolutely need to make adjustments in the extra deck. You should play 3-0 if you play 1 Lemnis Gate, in my opinion. Shark Cannon was a card that, so I'll be honest, I got very frustrated with deck building right now because I've been thinking about the next set, and really the Magnificestorm quick play and how I want to deck build with that. So I could not for the life of me decide how to get this deck down to 40 and be happy with it. So I'll be honest, I'm playing 43 cards right now. And that's because I wanted to play Shark Cannon, but I didn't want to remove anything else. I wanted to play the third droplet. But so I just, I haven't been playing very often, so I just wanted to play them. I was like, what's the worst that could happen? So the build's 43 cards. Shark Cannon was great all day in its own unique way. It wasn't the most powerful thing outside of one or two instances, but it always had utility, and I'm very glad I played it. The one of Hornet Drones, again, I've thought about cutting this, but there's consistency issues. It does offer value. It being, if you want to use your Kagari, being able to go into 0 on its own is pretty nice, since we don't have cards like Camellia to give us access to the utility through the deck. So one of Area 0, this card was phenomenal all day. It really did give just that tiniest boost to consistency when it comes to accessing the engine through its send effect off of like multi-roll or linkage, giving that extra body, or just it does. It's hard to quantify how the value that this card gives in the tournament experience, because of the way it gives you value over time and when you can lean into it for that value. So I would never cut this card from 1 as of right now. One of multi-roll, again, I've heard talks of cutting this card. This card is so powerful. Obviously, the set effect in the end phase is great, but the threat of resolving the on-field effect and basically blanking the activation window is just unbelievable. There were several times throughout the day where I was able to play a round roll through my first search by resolving this card post game 1, where I could activate the engage and then search a linkage, having previously set a card before I activated the engage, and then I would linkage on res with turn player priority, and thus my opponent could not draw. So the card was great. And that is it for the striker cards as a whole. So moving on to the rest of the cards. All right, so the rest of the spells are going to be Reinforcements of the Army. Obviously, I've already talked about how there's consistency issues with this engine and this deck compared to some of the others. You just need to get online and stay online for exactly your turn and your opponent's turn. So Reinforcements of the Army is good, and in the same breath, we have Upstart Goblin. And I know I said I was at 43 cards, but it doesn't matter. Striker is different, and when you're coupling in siding patterns with the side deck that I have, this card does make it extra easy to side in certain scenarios where you don't feel like you're foregoing anything, and you're actually removing some of your weaknesses to draw. So I was very happy with this card, and frankly, unsung hero of this deck is Pot of Desires. This card was unbelievable every time I got to see it and resolve it, or not resolve it, because it does hit that ash, or it does get the ash out of your opponent's hand, and then you're free, assuming you can still play with your 0 to resolve the summon back effect. Because anyone who's played this deck for more than a couple of games realizes it doesn't matter how many times you engage. If you ash the 0 on their on your turn as the opponent, it's kind of devastating, right? It shuts off your deck. If you're not playing around the possibility of that, you might actually not have a way to play on the follow-up, depending on what you need to, say, Lemnis Gate back. So this is just giving that raw card advantage, which I can talk a little bit more about later. And then we actually have 3 thrusts. Again, one of these was the 41st, second, or third card, depending on how you look at it. I was on 2, and I wanted to play 3. I wanted to, because it's hard for me to justify a card later in the deck list without saying I'm maining 3 of this card as a utility slot. So phenomenal. This card was never a brick today, which it has been in the past, so I was very happy about that. And now we're playing 1 Triple Tactics Talents. Again, extremely powerful. Nothing crazy to say. Being able to activate this card under multi-roll, where your opponent can't respond to it, is very, very, very nice. Where you can, say, rip a card out of your opponent's hand. One of my Draco Tail opponents forgot about that, and when I activated the effect to hand rip, his only way to play, which was Magnamute, I was able to shuffle back, and then he had like double nib Ash and Valor or something to that effect. And then 3 Droplet. So the 41st, 2nd, and 3rd card was 1 Droplet, 1 Shark Cannon, and 1 Thrust. And I didn't want to forego any of those, so it's been great all day. And I do not recommend this card. This card lets you outplay your opponent in so many different ways right now. In the Draco Tail matchup, being able to bait something with, you can manipulate your cards on field so much between multiple copies of Linkage and Forbidden Droplet. It gives you that power to dodge the Draco Tail trap, to give you value off of your quick plays, because this deck thrives on card economy and just maximizing the value that you have with your droplets and your linkage, and basically every card in your arsenal needs to matter on multiple different steps throughout the turn. So this card was great, and I would not cut it down. My most hated card in the game, Called by the Grave. When I saw it, it felt ban-worthy, because it is ban-worthy. I hate this card, and I hope it goes. And that is it for the spells. All right, so on to the interesting part of the deck. So the 1 Thrust target, which is the Black Goat Laughs. This card was great. I really didn't get the utility out of it that I traditionally did in, say, the couple of times I did get to play. Phenomenal Thrust target. Prioritize this. If I get hand trapped against Yummy, this card shuts them down for 2 turns. It's crazy. And then for our hand traps, we are on 3 Infinite Impermanents. And the absolute main deck MVP of the day was Songs of the Dominators. This card, I've been playing it in Striker since the sneak peek, and I was testing it in my head before that. I was thinking about it, and this card has just overperformed at every tournament, and I love this card, and I will continue to play it. I think even with the next set that is out, there's minor areas of conflict, but honestly, being able to, I hit Raisin, and it just ended his turn. He added the Raisin back, but that's why this card is here. So we don't activate Canines. We hit the cards on the field. You can hold this card for your, this is a deck profile. I don't want to go into detail here. I can in another video if there's enough ask for it. But and then the last card in the main deck is 1 Dominus Impulse. So I am siding the other 2 copies of Impulse, and this card was beyond great for me. Now you have to be cognizant of how you're playing this card. Like in the game 3 of the finals, I opened 1 Impulse and held it the entire turn because it was my only form of interruption, and the Vanquish Soul K9 player full comboed. And then I top decked a 2nd copy of Impulse. So knowing I had to hold the Impulse for the Vanquish Soul trap and maneuver the rest of my hand around it, while ideally resolving 0 before I activate Impulse, right? There's a lot of nuance to that card in this deck. I'm not entirely sure I'll keep playing that card indefinitely, but as of right now, it has been absolutely wonderful. So I am on 2 copies of 0. I've told plenty of people that there's like 4 slots in this extra deck that are kind of fake, but under no circumstances have I ever wanted a 3rd 0. And I'm sure there are some game states where I would regret not having a 3rd. Say, I banished both Lemnis Gates off of Desires, and we're in a really bad grind game. So yeah, I think it may be worth justifying a third on that corner case than some of the other cards, but for now I'm on 2. And then same thing with Kagari. I did actually use all 3 a couple of times, and I was in a spot where I banished one Lemnis Gate for the effect, and then I sided the other one out. So we were in a game state where I did not have a way to recycle anything anymore. So having 3 of this, I would say, is mandatory. And then the 1-ofs, we are on 1 Kaina, 1 Hayate, and 1 Shizuku. I could see multiple of any one of these 2, but again, I did not need more than 1 at any point in the tournament. Kaina came up several times for various different reasons, whether it's giving another ace in the grave for the Lemnis Gate so we could shuffle back, say, or bounce 2 cards instead of 1, or just having a body that point. Like, there's a couple of corner cases that make this card very, very useful, to include time, right? I'm not ignorant to the fact that this is a time win condition. While that didn't happen in this tournament, it did happen in many other tournaments in my Sky Striker experiences. So as far as the last of these Sky Striker cards, we have 1 Azalea and 1 Zeke. Never in my entire run did I need more than 1 of these. If I was going to play 2 of any of the Striker cards in the extra, it would probably be Zeke, followed shortly by Shizuku. I did want a second Shizuku one time, and that's just because I literally forgot to search with Shizuku, and we were in a very, very simplified game state, so I wanted to make Shizuku search. But I just went to end phase and didn't activate Shizuku effect. And then the last 5 cards in the extra deck are basically not real, because I didn't make Dark once. SP, I still would not cut SP. It did come up a couple of times just to force the back row and interruptions. And it's really hard because there's a couple of game states where you're not going to kill your opponent. That turn, you're not going to end the game, so it doesn't really matter if you can't resolve the attack directly for game. So you're just forcing back row and limiting their options. So, sorry, my computer just went to sleep. And the last link in the extra deck is Access Code Talker. Theoretically, it is worth making or worth having for some corner cases, and I think it would be way more relevant in the non-meta matchups that you could run into, but I didn't play against any of those. And then the two MVPs that have enough corner cases, I think, to justify a spot is actually Typhon and Exciton Knight. So I actually got inspiration from the Exciton Knight while I was browsing OCG lists within the past week, and thinking about how little these slots in the extra deck come up. Last format before the newest set, it was a Baguska because of Droll being omnipresent, right? If you get Drolled on Rhoda or Engage for Ray, you can just make Baguska and pass with the 0, assuming you don't get searched, and at least you have a game chance. But this came up several times to where I was able to resolve the whether I resolved the effect or it got negated doesn't really matter because it was pivotal to that game state. One time where you resolve the effect, detach Rose, and then you send, say, a Rock of the Vanquisher or something, or a Yummy Snatchy in the extra monster zone, and then you can bring back the Rose to go into, say, Azalea or just back into your striker links with these cards is really good. And then Typhon in this deck is way more powerful than in a lot of other decks because you're playing with the spells after you get to resolve the effect. And I wouldn't really change those two for, say, the other striker links. I think they're right now where I see the value in those kind of corner cases. And then lastly, we'll do the side deck. So I didn't play against any Malice, but I did not feel comfortable not playing Lancia because of how powerful that deck is and how bad the matchup is. We already talked about, we have 2 Dominus Impulse. Again, this tournament, I would not have won without this card, but it will skill check you in your knowledge of the deck. One-dimensional barrier as a thrust target. I shot it in a couple times, didn't see it, but I think it is a card that I would have played in this tournament again. And then we have 3 Solemn Judgment and 3 Solemn Warning. So I think the Draco Tail matchup is actually kind of tough, but I've been a fan of these 6 Solemns in Striker for a few weeks now, and the way I play post side is maybe not intuitive, but the Vanquish Soul Canine matchup as well as the Malice matchup are not really in your favor. So post game 1, I'm expecting to get drolled. I'm expecting that like the game state's going to be really slow. So I want to draw a card. I want to resolve desires, draw 2. If I don't get drolled, I want to try to draw off engage and just set extremely powerful traps, and then simplify the game state from there. And then lastly, we have our power spells. So I don't have Lightning Storm in here. I don't have multiple Regekis. This is basically that. Yeah, there's very few situations where I need anything besides exactly Afterburner. And I can play way more copies of Afterburner than I can of like Raigeki and Duster. Again, I liked the utility. I never searched this. I never was in a game state where that was relevant. Duster was important enough to win a game against, I want to say it was against Yummy, but it's been a few days now, so I don't remember. But Afterburner was amazing, being able to have access to it through Engage and Thrust, obviously Thrust into Engage if needed. But I've yapped long enough. It's been about 20-some minutes, so if you've enjoyed the deck, please let me know. If you have questions about it, again, I'm not really back on YouTube in any meaningful way. I just wanted to document the deck profile. But if you have questions about why I pick certain cards or siding patterns or anything like that, let me know, and I may either make a follow-up video or just answer it in the comments. So with that being said, thank you. Peace.